This week, we're back in the next-gen territory as Xbox blinks first with Project Helix, and we're asking, is it too soon, and who is it really for? Plus, we catch up on Pokémon Pokopia and even more new games. And on this week's Pixel Pick Showdown, we're crowning the best AA game. All this and more on this week's Pixel Parents Podcast. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Pixel Parents Podcast, the show that discusses all things gaming from the perspective of parents. I am your host, Liam Kirk-Kelvin, and today I'm of course joined by the bearded one, Scott, the OG tastemaker. Curry, how are we?
Very well. It's been a week, Liam. It's certainly been a week. And you know what we can say about this show is that Arsenal have played already, so we're not at risk of fucking things over as I talk, which is always nice.
Well, I was hoping for the Farm TV segment this week, you know.
Not this week. That's for another time. How are you?
I'm good, man. Yeah, good. It's been a week. It definitely has been a week, and I'm just glad to be talking about them games. I feel like I'm going through another renaissance with a certain catching them all little pocket monsters. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. It's been the tip of everyone's tongues, and by that, you know, just trying to stay positive in what is an absolute shit heap of a world situation that's going on by the day. But hey, you know, we've got our health, and your health is your wealth, and you know, hopefully we can distract ourselves and distract some of our lovely listeners out there by talking a load of pish about video games. So yeah, can't complain, Scott. Cannot complain. I should also add right off the bat, how are you feeling? Because this is technically your last week in your humble abode, isn't it?
Yeah. I am. I don't even know them. I don't think the gravity of what's going to hit me is going to hit me until Wednesday, when I am going to be fucking lugging everything from my house into a van, and then Thursday, where you'll be fucking helping me unlug it into a separate place. Aye, so it's going to be fun, but it's just a shit show, man. Just trying to get things in place and get it all packed up and stuff is hellish, especially when you're still trying to live life normally, and also, you know, pack everything up that you might not need to use. Who would fucking move house, Liam? Honestly, who would do it?
Aye, so put it in the backside, that's for sure.
It is a total nightmare.
I would say, for our listeners, we do have Scott's going to be taking next week off because he's got to get his nest in order. You know, he's got to, you know, unpack all of his shit and, you know, all the usual stuff. And after I place it nicely for him with wee boxes. So we'll have a lovely special guest join us next week in his absence. And you won't want to miss it because there's going to be some checks getting deposited and paid out in full against Scott Curry, because we've got a bounty pick. A lot of people have noticed the magic, or the size of the heel turn that happened last week, Scott. I'm now might have to usher the Hollywood Scott Curry era, you know, because man, you took Hillary to a new level last week, I have to say. I listened back to it and I was like, my goodness, he's going to turn up this week with a bandana.
I listened to it last week as well, and it made me laugh because I was just pissing myself laughing at how mental it is. And you know what, Liam? I still stand fucking by it. I'm not even going to back down. I'm going to double down on it. It's I have no reason to feel bad. I saw some of the comments that we were getting about it, and I was just like, aye, I am. I am saying that. That's 100% what I'm doing.
Like all the greatest heels say, any heat is good heat, I suppose. So you enjoyed that there, sir. You bask in that heel turn. But yeah, we've got lots to talk about this week. Lots of games, old and new. Mainly new, actually, should I say. And we've got a really cracking Pixel Pick Showdown. But if you're new, if you're old, You just have to know one thing, that this is the Pixel Parents Podcast, which is a weekly gaming show by parents discussing all things gaming whilst raising little ones. And you can get new episodes every Friday on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So please subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss our tired faces. You can also find us on Blue Sky at pixelparents.bsky.social or email us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. Of course, if you want to, you can also support the show for free at patreon.com/pixelparents. You'll get bonus shows, community chats, and it'll cost you the grand sum of £0 and 0 pence. And if you want to as well, you can drop a wee 5-star review, share the podcast online with your friends, whatever you do. It really helps us out. So, of course, thank you to everybody that joins us each and every week. So, with all that out the way, Scott, before we spiral into next-gen economics and the sort again, we need to address something far more important. How has Pokemon Pokopia quietly taken over our brains this week, Scott? How's it managed it? How has it achieved such a feat?
Not quietly. Is the right way to put it. I said last week that I didn't commit to not buying this game, Liam. Rerun the tapes. I never said I wasn't going to buy it. but I never fucking... I never thought that I was going to be in a position where, you know what, I'm going to buy this shit. And then it came out, and I got a discount code from my work, and I was like that. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll jump on it. So I got that, and I had another fucking voucher in place. I think I got it for like 40 odd quid, and I was like, that's the perfect price that I want to pay for something like this. And Liam, I'd pay it again. I'd pay it thrice. Do you know what I mean? This game just fucking delivers. And everything I have ever wanted in any of these types of games. Oh God.
Failed.
The fans of the show will know my love for games like Stardew Valley, for an Animal Crossing, and this game delivers that. And I wrapped in a Pokemon sandwich. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just it's an anomaly at how good this fucking shit is. And it's just testament to how when you don't make shite Pokemon games, they're good. Like, I mean, let someone else make a Pokemon game and they're actually fucking very good. This game has eaten up every single moment of my free time, Liam. Any free time I have, I'm just like, I'll jump in and just build a few habitats. I'll jump in, maybe fucking terraform my island to try and make it look the way I want. Do I know how I want it to look? Do I fuck? No idea what I'm doing, but I'm punching things and it's fun.
That's the joy and the beauty of it, though. Like, I think there's so many ways that you can go with it. I've been looking forward to it since the previews dropped a few weeks before, and when it was very much like, oh no, this is actually rather good. And of course, it's Pokemon, so it's very pertinent to us on this show, which we'll come to in a minute. Obviously, we've got the wee ones running about, so anything Pokemon, we're going to watch it, even though the mainline entries have been a bit guff for the longest time. But this is such a refreshing and perfect take, to the point where I'm like, slapping my head, like, of course, that makes perfect sense to do this, and it's so addictive because it's perfect for Pokemon, and it appeals to the young people, it appeals to the older ones like ourselves, and it has an odd mystery and a hint of wonder as well as melancholy at points as well, all the way through it, and it hits the notes of nostalgia, and it's got all the recognisable Pokemon, the good ones basically that you want in there, that people old and new can go in and enjoy. And you mentioned I don't even know how I want it to look, and I don't think you could have summed that up better, because the game isn't punishing you for going this way or the other, and that's something I've just recently fought against. So I'm like, maybe I should just stay and get your environment level as high as possible, but it's actually like, well, do it if you want, or you can go over there and explore, or you can find something new. It's totally up to you. It's chill. It's not like pushing you down a golden path, nor is it inviting you to grind. But for those who probably aren't as familiar with Pokemon Pokopia, I suppose it's a little bit, if you take Pokemon and Animal Crossing and Minecraft and even Dragon Quest Builders, it's been likened to a lot, and put it in a big blender, you're going to get this and you're playing as a little Ditto that has taken the form of its former trainer, and you're basically tasked with rebuilding this island area. I don't know the best way to kind of describe it. This world, brick by brick, block by block, and there's no humans there. And there's a little bit of a mystery to unravel as more Pokemon start to appear as you make the environments a little bit better. And from then onwards, you can kiss goodbye to all that free time that you had.
Yeah.
I mean, your time in the toilet is completely arrested by this, let alone everything else, Scott. I can't even imagine.
My legs are withered. They're broken. Just they're hanging off the edge of the toilet, just hoping for the best when I step
Angling.
off. It's the mystery is the best part, Liam. Like I love the interactions with the Pokemon. I love the fact that some of them talk with like noticeable accents, and some of them have wee quirks and stuff. It makes me laugh every single time I see Magikarp. Every single time I see him. Not a spoiler because of course he's going to be there, but he's fucking hilarious every single time you see him. But it's just like the mystery of the game and like how did the world come to be this way? That is the fucking end goal of all this. Is like what is actually happening, and it's drip feeding that to you through like wee notes that you find in the world. It's talking about the history of Pokemon and stuff like that as well. So there's characters named that you're like, oh, I know who that is. Or you can pick up outfits and hairstyles and stuff of noticeable characters and notable characters in the series as well, which is fucking tastic. It's just honestly, it is just incredible. Like I didn't expect to be sitting here thinking that this would have eaten up so much time this week. But Liam, I honestly don't want to play and have not played anything else this week. Like it is obscene the amount of time that I've put into this, and that's me. I know for sure. Friend of the show Alex has put in equally as many hours probably. I know Pietro, he's on it as well. He added him to my friend list on Switch, and I see him playing it all the time. So it's just like people are just obsessed. But it toes that line of you text me saying that do we just accept that Pokemon's for adults now or something like that? And I was just like this game toes that line so perfectly, in that it's giving you the nostalgia hits and the characters, the Pokemon that you meet, all the familiar sort of characters and things like that you're finding out about. The music, the wee twinges of the fucking like some of the musical hits in it as well. It's just like like that's what we get. But I'm playing it with my daughter, and she's just like she's only really interested in the end result of things. So it's like we'll build a house, so you get kits basically. So it's like sort of prefabbed houses that you put up. You get you kind of you put them where you want to put them. You find all the materials, and then you bring Pokemon in and they build it. And she wants to see the end result for that, and that's it. Like she's not interested in anything more than that. It's like that's fine because I'll do everything. Like I'll fucking do everything. But I'm just obsessed. Like I spent the last play session I had with it. I spent it just building wee tiny fucking wee tiny like dens for the Pokemon, so they all have like their wee villages now, because I realised that the habitats are to lure them. Then you build them houses and they go and live in those. So it's like they don't live in the habitats. You can move them on, which is exactly what it wants you to do. So it's like, oh shit, like I need to now do this, and then I have to think about how you're decorating those houses and stuff as well. It's an absolute bloody nightmare, Liam. And this is it's a problem, because it's like, how do you finish this game?
I don't think you do. I mean, there's you can play it as. I mean, I think Time to Beat had it down as 20 to 40 hours if you somehow were to Golden Path it. And I would say that's probably not the right way to play this game. I think you just treat this game just as like a little garden of sorts, and you just tend to it. And quite literally and figuratively, I suppose. But I mean, I've been at the weekend it came out. It came out on the Thursday, but I'd kept it back a day because I wanted to start it with my son, and I had high hopes, and he obviously was very taken by it. But there was, again, we probably aged them slightly. Like both our kids are pretty much the same age, between 5 and 6, and it's very much like the reading abilities. Of course, they're just at that early stages of reading, but it's the volume of it, and very much like it's the attention span and the willingness to do it. So I'm sitting playing with my son, like, we can use this as a reading aid, but you would literally be there for years, just based on, how they learned to read at this stage of life now as well in schools is very different to what they did in my day in the Victorian era, Scott. But it was very much like, right, okay, there's all that, but there's also quite dexterous in terms of what you have to do on the controller.
Yeah.
And it's something that I really, like, when we were younger, we didn't have like analog sticks plus all these shoulder buttons and all the rest of it. It moved on very quickly within a short space of time. But I feel like I grew up with that and I kind of chucked that into it. But not that he can't use it. It's just that he's very much just wanting to something very, very simple input. And it's not that it's complicated. It's not. But for a 5-year-old, it can be. And you can see that interest weaning. And to the point where actually he's actually had more fun going back to Fire Red this week. So I've been doing that in the evenings playing with him. He got the 3rd badge. He absolutely demolished LT Surge. I was like, well done, mate. That's actually, it's not bad. I wanted a wee shot of that. But it was, he listened to my recommendation that Geodude will conquer all in that part of the game. He took out Raichu in 1 hit. It was quite impressive. And then he went and caught a level 29 Dugtrio, and I'm like, cool. But then it's like, right, we'll go back to Pokopia and I'll show you what it's like. And I just let him run riot in a pre-built, like he says, the end result. So he could just run about and engage with it that way. And it's like, oh, who's this Pokemon? Who's that? And it felt a little bit better in terms of my own patience, because I'm like, it can quickly grate on you with that volume of reading as you're learning the game as well at the same time. Like, what is it wanting me to do? And, if you're asking questions of it while it's being asked questions by a little person that's next to you, it can be a very, strange experience. And I'm saying that just to be really upfront, because I think, like, you look at this type of game and you might think that might be perfect for the wee one, but I think this might be better for an older wee one. Once their reading's just a little bit up a little bit and their ability's a bit higher, but also their attention span for that level of reading, because you're pretty much reading on screen text quite a lot as you're playing it. But for an older gamer such as yourself, then it's not something to kind of shirk at all. I'm waffling now because I think Scott is experiencing again some type of technical difficulty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on waffling, because I think he's rejoined us now at this point, which is fine. Scott, he's back. He's back. I've just kept waffling, Scott. We're still recording. We're still going. Still talking about Pokopia. But yeah,
I can speak, and I'm sure my microphone's been picked up, but I can't hear a fucking thing.
Good grief, right?
I think it's a cable in my.
See, he slags me for being the old one on this show, when actually he's acting like a grander to get this fixed. Insane. And now here comes my dog to rattle things in the background. This is just all going great. I'm going to keep on going with Pokopia anyway whilst I finish my point, but I think that it's definitely something to bear in mind if you're an older gamer with little ones there, is that your mileage may vary just depending on that consideration when it comes to reading in particular. But yeah, it is what that is. But what I'm going to take a quick pause, and you won't even notice that we've been gone. We're going to come back in a couple of seconds. And we're back. Little technical issue aside for the second week in a row, Scott.
I knocked the cable with my fucking foot.
As you do. No, back to it. I suppose what we were kind of circling off there, of course, was Pokopia, and just really, if it's just for more bigger kids than younger ones, Scott, would you concur?
I would concur, Liam. I think that the fact that it goes for that nostalgia, and it caters for an older person, I think that it's fucking ready made for adult kids, which includes ourselves. So yeah, 100%. I think that there's things there for the younger ones, but I think this is more a Pokemon, the adult Pokemon for for us, you know.
Yeah, and listen, it's been such a time sink. I'm not going to give a score on it, and for a very long time, but it's just got that same vibe, I suppose, as Animal Crossing. Really, like you've got something to check into every day. I couldn't imagine how much time I would lose to this if I was still working from home. It's probably only a good thing. And actually, coming back to last week's main topic, right? And I brought my Switch 2 to work thinking, I'll go play that at lunchtime. But I absolutely shat my pants. And I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't bring my Switch out in front of us, because of all the rest. So, bravery is still loading on that one. But
What if they laugh at me? What if they laugh at me?
they call me a nerd and throw their shoes at me. it is what it is, I suppose. But yeah, it's definitely become a routine thing. It's very much a cozy game. I would say if you're like me and foolishly like to play that in your bed, Switch 2 is a fantastic console to play in your scratcher. It will put you to sleep very quickly because it's just lovely. It's just nice. I think it's also a great game to listen to a podcast with.
Yes.
Maybe even this one. Maybe you're listening to this right now as you're playing. But yeah, I think it's great for all that stuff, man. Just keeping the vibe going, nice and chill. A Saturday morning game. Even though I'm playing it more on a Saturday morning, but it's that type of vibe, you know what I mean? Like sitting with a nice coffee, taking your time. It's obviously you can play it in front of the kids because there's no swearies, nothing blue, all that stuff. Yeah, it's just a cracking time, man. Just an absolutely cracking time. But we've got other games we've been playing this week, Scott. Other games. The both of us have been wee busy bees, and Pokopia has not made things easy because that's been the force that has been pulling us away, as you had mentioned. I'll probably kick things off here, Scott. Just I've been playing, and I was mentioned this last week. Redacted now becomes Greedfall: The Dying World. Code kindly provided by the publisher, and that's so thanks to them. And full disclosure, playing this on PlayStation 5 Pro just now, and I missed the original Greedfall. Scott, I don't know if you had touched the OG one, no, but it's one that had always intrigued me. They're just trying to find the town. There's something about it. I was like, oh, that looks quite cool, nice.
What is it?
Basically, good question. Basically, this game is set 3 years before the original one, right? And it's very much like one of its strengths is its own sense of world building, I would say, right? In this case, you're going to be playing as a native of the Tier 3D, if I remember it right, and you're basically taken by force to the old continent in the game as well. And it's basically a big open world, well, not open world, but a big open RPG game. This time, they're kind of focusing more so on the change in the combat system. So it used to have your typical action RPG combat, which is what I expected kind of going in, having seen clips of the original Greedfall. But this time round, they've changed it more with a real time, with kind of paused tactical type of combat. So I think more KOTOR, think more Dragon Age Origins. That's kind of what the ballpark that you're in. So you can very much just kind of pause battles in the heat of the moment and select your attacks, queue stuff up, etc. And each person can kind of, you can on the fly just change between different type of modes to just see how often you want the action to kind of stop and make your next move effectively. But it took me aback a little bit when I started playing it because I just wasn't expecting it. I had booted this up thinking it was just going to be that more like think the Dragon Age the Veilguard, for example, that type of combat. I was expecting something like that here. So I was a little bit okay. But fights are a little bit more considered and they're a little bit more involved than what you'd be expecting going in. And there's that strategic element to it. But for me, with where my headspace was at, I think probably more the shock for what I was expecting going in. It wasn't really kind of clicking with me 100%. But I think if you're someone that is wanting a little bit more of a strategic fix, and if those influences I mentioned are kind of more up your alleyway, then this is probably worth checking out, I would say. But it does have lots of depth. Well, it does have some depth within the system as well, particularly around the classes. Myself, I select the Hunter class, so I'm kind of wanting to look more at the ranged combat side of things, but you have your usual, like your mages and your warrior, protector type class as well. And you can do hybrid builds. You can basically just start to skew off what way is more comfortable to you. And you've got your companions as well with their own types of abilities, which has been pretty cool, but there's a lot of depth under the hood. And there's more there that I'm kind of wanting to just have a wee nosy at over time. Because this is just kind of my initial impressions of the game, which has released this week, I believe, as well. But what I would say, the thing that I think has impressed me the most about it is that it's really going hard on its own world building. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I believe they've kind of invented their own language for the tribe that you're part of as well. And it really is like, it's really, really deep, and immediately, like, it's a well presented world, and there's some rich lore that they're building upon from the previous game. Well, technically the game ahead of it in the timeline. But it's definitely, like, there's a big commitment to world building. This is from the French studio Spiders. I should have added as well. But I think it's definitely got that level of depth to it. You can feel that they're definitely wanting to make this a little bit more considered and strategic in terms of how you're actually playing the game. But I think I would say that, it's does lack a certain bit of polish in there, just in terms of just as the odd little bug and hiccup that crept in, and it's quite slow paced, particularly in the start of it. It creeps along to the point where you're kind of like finding yourself, right, I'm ready to just kind of crack on and see more of this. But I suppose that's a good thing. But I think if you're wanting something that you can jump straight into and it just kind of doesn't mince about and just get straight into it, this isn't that one as well. But I'm wanting to see where it goes over time as well. So this is now just kind of been added to the rotation in terms of that. But it's another thing I thought we'd just bring to the table this week for our listeners, because I know there'll be people out there that probably have played the original Greedfall, or maybe looking for something a little bit more tactical in the RPG front, because I know that we're not short of choices just now. But if that sounds something up your alley, then I would say definitely go try and check this one out. But it's on PlayStation and Xbox, and I think it's on PC as well. It was originally in early access for a while. And so, yeah, Greedfall, The Dying World. Go check it out if that sounds like it's something up your alley. Scott, I'm going to hand over to you. You've also been the busiest of bees this week, in between catching them all, or should I say building them all.
Building them all, building everything. So on the lead up to Pokopia, we got code for a game called Collector's Cove, published and developed by Voodoo Duck, and this is their take on the cozy farm simulator type game. The gimmick here though is that you don't have a farm to look after, so to speak. You've actually got the back of this huge creature, like it's like a water creature. Think of a fucking Lapras without the shell, and instead of the shell, it's just like a deck with loads of places that you can farm on, and that's
okay.
basically this. So the game rotation is that you can travel from island to island on the back of this creature. It takes you there. You go and collect your resources. You can fish. You can find items. You can search for treasure, and you bring that back, and you use that to basically upgrade the parts of the ship. I'll call it a ship, right? Upgrade the parts of this fucking deck, and it continues to grow arms and legs from there. But yeah, it's an interesting wee game. I think that there's a lot of charm in it. It's got a nice wee art style, and it knows what it's going for. It's not as if it's like a terrible one of these games, Like I think Maximilian Dude makes a joke on his every single stream for PlayStation State of Play on Nintendo Directs, where if there's a shovel in the ground, he has to give gift subs, because cozy farm simulator games are all the rage right now, and this is just a nice spin on it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a nice wee look at this. For me, in a world where Pokopia and Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing and games like that exist, this game just it almost gets there, but not quite. Not quite. It's in a world where those games exist, it's not going to stand out. And it doesn't have to stand out. It'll find a place. It'll find fans. I think it's pretty cheap. It's on Nintendo Switch, and you can get it on Steam as well. So, ran quite well on it. I got it on Switch. Ran great on the Switch. I had a few hiccups just in terms of the way the characters looked. Just in terms of it looked like, I don't know how to describe this, Liam, but it wasn't quite as sharp. It was like almost like they were made made in spray paint, which was weird. But it's a nice wee game. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to ape the life simulator games, you've got to come up with a new way to go about it, and this does it. with the whole thing with the creature. It's pretty cool, and you can feed it and stuff like that, and you get this wee relationship with it, and it's cute as all hell. You can design it, you can design your own character, and basically then inhabit that world. And you're tasked with, the Collector's Cove. The Collectors is a branch that you basically want to become part of. Your family have abandoned you and left you, and you're then going to go and try and collect all this stuff. So you've got a compendium, a codex worth of things that you're trying to find. So it could be, fish that you're trying to find in the world, or different crops, or sort of different things like that you're trying to do. But it's I think that it's probably one of those games that will live on the Switch. If you're not happy paying, 60 quid for Pokopia, but you want something like that, or something that offers a little bit of something like that,
Yeah.
Collector's Cove might be a wee game for you. So I think that it's worth having a look at if you were interested. The second one, completely polar opposite, is a game called The Bearer and the Last Flame. It calls itself a dark fantasy action adventure game. In the business lane, we call that a Souls-like.
Yes.
Now, if you had sat me down and shown me pictures of this game and the original Dark Souls, if I didn't know which one was Dark Souls, I don't think I could have told you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that to the untrained eye, you'd be like, that one's Dark Souls, because it's almost beat for beat the same game.
Yeah.
It looks exactly the same, and it's going for the same thing. And yeah, so this was a game that is, I think it might be a solo developer, but don't quote me on that, right? Because I might just be making that up. But it's developed by Dark Reaper Studio and published by Meridian Games. Released on the 6th of March. You basically have to carry the last flame into the lands of the night. We've played Dark Souls. Do you know what I mean? We've done this, right? So you don't create your own character. You get given a list of, 8 or 9, I want to say 8 or 9, 7 or 8 different characters that you can pick from. And that's the character that you go ahead with. And then you're just dropped into this area and left to your own devices. Now that is good, because it means that you're wrapped in mystery, but I'm sorry to say them, but that's where the game just completely falls off. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be negative, because I know this is a solo developer, right? And I know that this is something that they've obviously worked very hard on. But if you're going to ape games like Dark Souls or the Souls-like franchise, this game is going to live and die by its combat. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why we all love games like Lies of P, or like Sekiro, The Surge, different things like that, and that the combat is front and center, and you can cope with it. The Dark Souls combat isn't fucking amazing, but it felt good. It had heft, it had weight, it had impact, and this game just doesn't have it. It's like more hack and slash in a Dark Souls world, which just doesn't fit the vibe of the game.
Yeah.
That's the first issue I had with it. Is like the first character or the first enemy you attack, you're just like, oh no, well, it's one of these. Do you know what I mean? The level design left a lot to be desired as well. We talk about Dark Souls as a franchise in terms of sort of looping paths and finding your way back and things, and this game does it. It does it, but it's all just quite lazy and like not done very well. I got lost in the first 5 minutes of the game, and my playtime was extended by at least a half hour, because I just didn't know where I was going. I was just like, I couldn't find the tiny gap in the wall where I was supposed to go through. And yeah, it's just a harsh way to put this, Liam. But so don't take it right. This is the healing me, but it's a poor imitation of what it's trying to go for. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's probably the best way that I can describe it. It's just a poor imitation of Dark Souls. Now, not inherently bad. I just think that it needs a lot more care and effort taken into the actual combat itself. If it had better combat, you could be looking at a decent game here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just it loses you within that first 5 minutes, and I kind of went through that. And you pick up a shield, doesn't really feel like, you're ready to block anything or parry anything. That it's with Dark Souls, you learn the parry, the parry time. And this one, it's just like I'm hitting the button and I've no idea if it's going to work or not.
Mm-hmm.
You pick up spells, you pick up fucking tons of different items, and it has screeds of text. It's just like, Jesus, man, like it's overwhelming. So, aye, in a world full of Souls likes, Liam, because Souls likes are so hot right now as well.
Yeah,
This one's it's pretty unforgettable. So I don't think you're going to see, the Bearer in the Last Flame too. It kind of feels like one of those games that you'd see in an Iron Pineapple video, like
oh yeah.
like
Okay.
games that are in early access or whatever, and that Steam dumpster diving thing where he just looks for games to play. It feels like a game that you would see on that, and I reckon that would be his feedback, in that it's trying to be what it's not, and instead of going for its own tone, its own spin on it, it's just not done it very well. So I'm sorry to say it wasn't a classic, but
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
the taste buds were. It was embargoed to this to the end of last week, so I couldn't even have talked about it if I wanted to. But the fortunate thing was I had Resident Evil 9 to wash the taste down. So that was a nice palate cleanser. Anyway,
that's good. That's good. Listen, we do appreciate it, and not every game can knock out the park, but we do admire the effort, particularly if it's a solo dev there. But it's all constructive. It's all constructive at the end of the day. But yeah, no, I do wonder what next, because that leads me to the next topic here, Scott, because there's a lot of big games, right? We know Pokopia is going to be the dominant distraction, the dominant force in our gaming lives for the foreseeable just now. But I am a little bit apprehensive, Scott. I'll tell you why. Because by the time the next episode comes out, a game that I'm very excited for will be in the hands of all us gamers, and that's Crimson Desert. And I'm wanting to do just a little anticipation check, because I'm actually not even spoke about it in the show yet. I want to know what your head's at on it, because this looks like a game. If I was to go and design a game, this might be what I would fart out, and I'm terrified because it might overtake everything in my life. But I'm also like pure buzzing because they released the specs this week, and it looks like it might be a wee bit of a PS5 Pro showcase as well. But where's your head at in that one, Scott? Is it sort of, you're gonna dive in? You're gonna FOMO? You looking forward to it?
but the same old thing applies, Liam. I'll say no here, and then you'll talk to me next week, and I'll have it. I want to, a lot of the videos that are coming out seem to suggest that it runs on PC well. I think a lot of the Digital Foundry stuff talk about it playing on PC, but you're not actually seeing console footage of it from what I've gathered. Whether or not that's changed in the time since we've recorded, I don't know. But what's putting me off is I was listening to, what was I listening to? I was listening to someone talking about it, and what they were saying is that if you like, if you like the sandbox of a Breath of the Wild, then it's like you're going to love this game. Now, Liam, I am notoriously not a lover of Breath of the Wild, Liam. Really not. But I also do like the look of the combat in it. I think that does look like fucking it's going to be really good fun. I want to just see the mad shit that they can do as well. But also the setting of it just doesn't excite me. The fact that there's no character really customization, you're playing as, John Desert. It's it's just one of those. But there's part of me that's like, the games that perform well on the PS5 Pro, especially with the update that's due, hopefully within the next month or so, is going to be quite significant for it. So hopefully we'll see something there. But I think there's a lot of chat in terms of, this could be the best game of the year, the game of all games, or it could also be Cyberpunk. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's with lofty expectations, and it runs terribly on console. So I'm
very intrigued.
I mean, that's the word. It's intrigue. It's promising so much, and we've still seen so little of it.
Yeah,
now.
I'm still, as much as I'm excited for it and very intrigued, I'm still like, it's going to live and die by that review embargo, which in terms of have they overpromised and underdelivered, or have they pulled off something quite spectacular here? So that remains to be seen. We'll know by the time the next episode is live, and who knows, maybe I'll have it in possession or on the way at that point. But I think we should move on, because there's a lot of stuff. We're talking about lofty stuff, talking about big ambitions and that. And of course, that's going to come back to hardware. So it's almost time for us to go into the main topic. But before we do move on, if you enjoy the show, I know, and you want to support us,
me.
you can, and it won't cost you a penny. So just join our free Patreon community. Visit patreon.com/pixelparents for every show, chats, and bonus shows, including side quests with Scott, the patch notes, and Pixel Parents Presents Pixel Pinfalls, free all the time. And of course, as I mentioned before, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/@pixelparentspodcast. Now, Scott, it's time for us now to go on to the main topic, the meaty stuff, which I feel like we've did this about 40 odd episodes ago, but it's PlayStation in the crosshairs, and it's time once again. Fucking Xbox, they just keep on churning stuff up. But
fucking hell,
Jesus Lord, it's another big next gen chat, Scott. It really is. We're back here again. I think it was episode 72, and it's now off the back of Xbox blinking first in the next gen console race. Since last week's episode and up to now, they had dropped a teaser out of nowhere, like a fine RKO, and a little teaser with the title Project Helix, which is their kind of code name for their new piece of hardware, the next generation of Xbox consoles. Now, Scott, there's been a lot happening after also GDC this week as well, and they have also previewed a little bit of the tech for developers. There's nothing been really formally announced or revealed other than the code name at this stage. As I mentioned, Project Helix, a little quick facts rundown for people who might not be as nerdy in the know, but it's a code name, as I mentioned, for the next Xbox console, and it's basically the nutshell for this. It's designed to hopefully play both Xbox console games and PC games. So again, they're just continuing what we've seen with Microsoft of late, trying to push together that Windows and Xbox ecosystem. And yeah, they're basically, ideally for them, the developers Microsoft are basically wanting devs to build a game once and it runs just across Xbox and PC. So it cuts down on that development cost and all the complexities behind that as well. I should also say, if you want a bit more of a better breakdown, go visit The Verge for a good article on this as well. Now, in terms of the hardware, this is where Scott gets to have a good old chuckle. Me as well, because we start to go into things that sound really cool. But if you ask either one of us what it actually means, we're going to be like, no idea. But what we can see already from the preview at GDC, it's a very light one, I should add as well, because this isn't formally announcing. There's no release dates or anything like that. It's just very much just in the foothills. But it's going to be powered by a custom AMD system on chip built for next-gen DirectX. They're saying, Microsoft that is, there's going to be an order of magnitude leap in ray tracing performance compared to current Xbox performances. Mere ray tracing, so you can check that one off. It's going to be using next-gen AMD FSR with machine learning upscaling and multi-frame generation to boost performance and frame rates. So it kind of sounds like their version of the pisser in a nutshell. So Xbox potentially getting their own pisser. The GPU is going to be supporting GPU-directed work graphs. So it's going to let the GPU generate workloads itself to reduce the CPU bottleneck. So it's going to be more powerful under the hood. And it's wanting to use things like neutral rendering features like ML upscaling and advanced ray regeneration for path tracing. No idea. And you're going to get new deep texture compression and direct storage improvements to stream assets faster from SSD, which basically means that game assets and the game itself is going to cut down on loading times and what you're seeing rendering on screen, reducing the likes of pop-ins and textures and all that stuff as well. The big takeaway from this is that the alpha dev kits, they're saying from GDC at the time of recording, is it's not going to reach developers they're hoping until 2027. So the console itself is still quite a few years away, Scott, which is actually the big takeaway that I felt a lot of reveal at. when we're putting together, this episode, I was thinking they've come out early so that they can maybe launch this next year. But that's something that I don't think that this is going to be the case here at all. But what I would say over the weekend is that there was analysts thinking that this machine could be very expensive, even if it is years away. Possibly $900 to $1,200, some early reports were saying. Now, this is all pure speculation at this point. Nobody has confirmed a price, anything about this. This is just nothing but industry insiders and scuttlebutt at this point. However, we do like a wee bit of speculation, don't we, Scott? We do like to kind of talk about the future. But a lot of people are saying this could be Xbox's make or break moment, which I'm like, cool, go use. Use at the end of the day. But I'm asking, even now, what we know now, Scott, with GDC confirming that the alpha kits aren't going to get out till next year, so we still could potentially be looking at 2020, anywhere between 2027 to 2029, you could say, at a push. Is it still too soon, and why now? That's the question I'm going to ask you to kick things off.
Fucking hell. Yes. This screams, get out early. Not to show the thing off, but just because it will have leaked during GDC. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone's going to leak the details of it, and then they're going to have to fucking cover their arse. So get out and just show everyone what we're doing here. I just think it's completely unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like, the problem with the current Xbox isn't that it can't run games well. Do you know what I mean? It's the fact that there's no fucking games on it to play, to run well. There's only so many times you can play Crimson Skies, but it's just, is that the game I'm thinking about? Is that the right name?
Yeah, it's because we're fucking Crimson Desert, you're doubting it.
Stupid fucking plane thing. But no, it's just like, the problem here isn't, having fucking AMD, FSR upscaling or, the magnitude and ray tracing performance. It's like, the problem has always just been that there's no fucking games, there's no exclusive titles to play on Xbox. And that's been the case since the Xbox One. The Xbox One was shite, so they announced Project Scarlet. That never landed anywhere, so then they announced Project Scorpio, or was it the other way around? Whatever one was first, But it's just like, we're struggling now. Let's just announce another project. There's a phenomenal Kyle Bosman video on this where he jokes about it and takes the piss out of it. But it's just like, that seems to be the panic button in terms of, if we can't announce something, let's just announce another project something. And here we go. Now, on the positive side, as you say, there is a bit of relief there in that this is only going to go out to devs in 2027. And for all that Ash Sharma's saying, it's all being done with a view of having people being able to develop games once for consoles, for it then to work on PC. So you're not going to have to develop ports for different things. You develop it once, and it cuts down on development time for people. In the perfect world, yeah, that's great. I mean, fucking too right, but let's just see it in action. Do you know what I mean? And then how does that work for, console versions of previous generations as well? You've got to factor all that shit in as well. But it's too soon to be talking about this. Is it too soon for Xbox though? Is the problem? I think if you're talking about a PlayStation that continues to sell, a PlayStation 5 that continues to sell, and is growing ever popular in terms of sales rate with the PS4, it's still performing fucking phenomenally. The Xbox, third in a race that it's never going to fucking catch up. So is this the panic button? And this is just what they're pressing to try and get in front of it, as you've said before. Who the fuck knows? Do you know what I mean? But it's just, even just looking at this fucking thing and hearing about what it's trying to do. See, let's just say it releases in 2028, 2029. See, by that time, Liam, it's already 3 years out of date. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about a console with all this pish that is going to be fucking 2-3 years out of date. It's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, I think that they'll do their best to future-proof it, because I mean, I still think the Series X is a incredible console. It's just that this year I haven't had as many excuses to play it as what I did say last year. Last year I feel like it was probably the best year I've had with the Series X and an Xbox in a long time, and it's so steady and it's such a pleasure to play off of, and that can be taken for granted. And my worry is that they start to make it more of like a PC, and I do love the ROG Ally X, but it does obviously it's a Windows based architecture, so it does still feel like, if you've ever logged into any type of Windows PC, it's kind of that same experience. Granted, the Xbox full screen experience exists, and they have talked about this Xbox mode that they're introducing across all Windows PCs as well, so that if you're gaming on it, you're going to get that type of Xbox mode. They're trying to kind of brand and build this into the psychology of gaming on a Windows PC. It's Xbox. They're really actively trying to tie this together. And see, on paper, I do still think that that's actually quite a smart strategy long term, but it has to come at the cost of something. And for me, it's like making your Xboxes effectively redundant, unless, of course, and again, I can't stress this enough, right? Because you're going to get the actually, boys, here. We are purely fucking speculating here because we know absolutely fucking nothing. Nobody does, right? Insiders included. Like, nobody has a fucking Scooby just now because it's far too early. But this is the fun part. We get to speculate. But if it has to come at the cost of something, and this feels like a proper last roll of the dice, because if it doesn't work, or even if it does work, an Xbox console itself could become the victim of its own success. And if they introduce, because based on this price, again, speculation, if it's anywhere around that $1,000 mark, which, let's face it, it will be with the state of the world just now, and it'll only just continue, then they're probably going to get a two-tier policy, or two-tier kind of structure as well. Like Project Helix is for the hardcore, that to replace the Series X. What's going to replace the Series S? And that's the big thing for me. Do they just have a more souped-up Series X that they could push out at a cheaper cost at that time, because the hardware could be anywhere between 7 to 8 years old at that point, because they're getting on. But I just don't know. I feel like it could be the victim of its own success if it works, because people will go, well, if I can access Xbox anywhere, if there's Xbox mode and it's Windows based PC architecture, and I can build a PC myself if I wish to, granted not at the highest spec, but maybe to a medium spec, and save a couple of quid, is that the way of it? But then again, it might not be the case because of these RAM shortages and the way everything's going, that this might actually end up being a bit of a steal at that price. That's the other side of the coin. Even at $1,200, for everything it's promising to do to build a PC, it might end up being double the cost of that. And this could actually end up being a fantastic deal. And with that growing trend of younger gamers entering PCs spaces before consoles, that might end up being a good move. But again, it's so early, it's difficult to tell. I think for me, it was just the initial reaction of them dropping it, and I honestly balked at it. Any mention of next generation from Xbox or PlayStation just now, and I've said this before and I'll keep hammering it, it is way too soon to even start to drop this from a communications standpoint, from your well placed leaks standpoint as well, because these insiders will get things at a time and place when they're ready, when the powers that be are ready to share it. And I just don't think that we're there yet. I honestly think that 2028 is still too soon, given the state of the world. And it's mainly to do with the juice for the squeeze. I don't think I've ever seen any console generation like this one, where we're effectively could be living through two unique world events, catastrophes here, and they're wanting to push things out even faster. And it's like, the answer lies in the software here, not so much in the hardware. I feel like we've barely tapped into the potential of the current gen Xbox or PlayStation. I think we're just starting to get something. But if you start to talk to me about PlayStation 6 anytime this year, I'm talking about the Jeff Grubb insiders and all that, I'm like, no way. No, and we're already starting to see it more gathering pace because it's predictable. And I'm like, honestly, if I was a betting man, I'd say they both fall in 2028 at this point. But I would prefer it if it was 2029, just given the state of everything. But see, when you're looking at the spec of it, and this is the other thing, and I'm going to stop the actually mob before, because I can hear them in the keyboards, right? You don't have to buy it. We fucking know that. But we're also the fucking worst as well. We're mug punters and we can't help ourselves. If there's something new and shiny, as these type of gamers, we're going to want it, Scott. Make no apology for that. And I also like to feel that I'm getting the best possible experience where I possibly can. So I could hang on to the PS5 Pro for just that little bit longer. But if there's a PS6 that's out there a little bit earlier than I like, I know that future Liam is going to struggle with that. And I'm trying to basically create a future where future Liam doesn't struggle with that, Scott. Is that so hard? Is that so hard what I'm trying to do? Apparently so. Apparently so. But yeah, it's there's been lots of rumours left, right, and centre about the whole timing thing. And at one point they were saying PlayStation's going to delay things because of RAM shortages. Then last week at the same time with this, you were getting rumours saying that they're not going to, and it's still going ahead within their own timeline, which again we do not know. Nothing's been confirmed. But ultimately, I'm asking, if we feel a little bit like we've got so much more to get out of the current consoles and they're pushing new ones on you, who is it for?
Exactly.
Who is
exactly
it for?
though? That's the fucking the $1 trillion question at the end of the day. It's just like I think the same questions were asked about the Pro. It's like, who is this for? And we justified that in our own head. But when you're talking about a brand new generation of consoles, it feels a little bit. It's a question that you have to ask a lot more. How much better are these games going to fucking look, Liam? I played Resident Evil 9 the last couple of weeks, and that game is probably one of the best looking games I've ever played. But then again, as I get older, it's just going to be like, is that going to be as important to me in terms of what I'm looking for? I don't know anymore, Liam. I'm playing games on my Steam Deck, I'm playing games on my Switch, and it's like these games don't run fucking phenomenally all the time. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know if I said that word right. But they don't. They're not the best looking games that you've ever seen, but I still enjoy them. But it's like, you're right. They announced a PS6 comes out next year. I'm probably going to try and find the money somewhere to buy it.
Yeah.
Because I want to have the new thing. But I will vomit everywhere if I see it. Do you know what I mean? Like if Mark Cherney comes out and tries to lull me into fucking a false sense of security, talking to me about the teraflops and the fucking gigawatts and the faceplates of the PS6, I will honestly vomit everywhere. I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I'm not going to like it. As for the Xbox side, like, I think I've got a little bit more willpower when it comes to like holding off on investing in a new Xbox console. And I say that because we've now got means to tapping into the PC ecosystem with the handhelds. The ROG Xbox Ally X is basically the proof of concept for what they're trying to do, just under your television or whatever it is in the form of an Xbox, so just a non-portable version. And I think I can hold off on that. Like, if I'm looking at that and I go, well, do you know what? Game Pass is still going to be able to play any of these big games that you're coming out. If a new Gears of War comes out, so yeah, we can go up to the ultimate tier, and then I can like play that on the Series X because it's still got so much raw, untapped power in there for what we need for these games to do. Yeah. Ultimately, all I'm asking is if it runs at 1080p and it has 60 frames a second, I'm very happy.
That's it. That's the reason why we bought the Pro.
Yeah, I mean, 4K 120, obviously, listen, I'm not sniffing at 120 hertz, right? That's pretty sweet, right? That's pretty sweet. And then 4K stuff, but most of the time I'm picking performance mode, so I very rarely play games with an output that's getting anywhere near 4K.
Yep.
I'm always quite happy to sacrifice that for performance, and then obviously making use of monitors and televisions to get to the 120 hertz. This is, again, digital foundry. It's not more like digital floundering or whatever it is we call it, but we are like not those guys, but we still like to game in comfort, and we like the shiny things. We like the new. I fear that it's a little bit of like capitalism is really going to push this water up the hill on this one, and it's a very interesting space that gaming's in. And if you're trying to push this with mass market appeal, and it has anywhere close to 4 figures on it, and the same goes for PlayStation as well, because a PS5 Pro being 700 quid, which even though it does seem like a steal now with the rise in pricing for RAM, etc., let's face it, a PSX is going to be north of that.
Yep.
Said that at the time. Xbox as well. This isn't going to be broad market appeal. If anything, they might not just replace the Series S. They might just say, well, you know what, the Series X is getting a price cut, the PS5 gets a price cut, and that's for you. And they've always done that, but maybe they more aggressively lean into that. And that's probably because it's like, from a hardware perspective, we've reached the horizon point where it's like, do you know what? There's nothing more that we can kind of inject in here to kind of get used to run out. And that old adage, like, oh, it's like the iPhone model, etc. Not quite. It's just more, like you said, there's only so far you can take things. And I feel like we're in a pretty comfortable spot with what these consoles can do, because it's so easy to take for granted how powerful they are, but also just how reliable those consoles are. Like, in terms of an experience this generation, that's probably been the best thing. It's all been about convenience. That Xbox with the quick start stuff, the PlayStation 5, even the base PS5 might be one of the best consoles ever in terms of the reliability. The Pro just takes it up just a little notch in terms of its output. But if you're trying to get us to like sink 1,000 quid, it's something I'm like, who the hell is that for? Really? And then if they're churning out games at a snail's pace to justify these things' existence, because we need to take advantage of all these new things under the hood, and it adds another year or two into development cycles, but they've still got the cheek to make a 7 to 8 year development cycle in itself, or generational cycle. It rises in the face, man. It totally rises in the face. And I think they need to think of something quick, which is why I'm not surprised that Xbox is then thinking, right, the Play Anywhere route seems to be it, and they need a big chip to kind of launch this new regime, Project Helix. I think you're very correct. Get in front of it at GTC, but it's also, there's going to be lots of new big projects coming out. It's a bit like if you're in your workplace and you get a new boss, and it's like, well, with my old boss, we're all working on this stuff. We were told to do X, Y, Z. This was the way we did it. They come in, and it's very much like the new broom. And that's very, very typical human nature. You know, they've got their own ideas, their own agendas, etc. They want to put their own stamp on stuff. In our world that we're talking about here, having a new console to kind of work towards and kind of give that as the Team Xbox's true north makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense, but what doesn't make a lot of sense to me, Scott, is charging that amount of money for it if it comes to be.
If that's true.
But you
I just can't I can't believe it. And then the rising costs of Game Pass and all that as well for what you're getting on that. It's still a great deal, but still haven't. Well, I say a lie. I signed up to Game Pass for the first time in weeks.
Oh, right, lovely.
Maybe even months this week. And do you know what it was for, Liam?
Yeah.
I wanted to play Sunset Overdrive. And I played that game for 15 minutes and I had a time with it, and then I cancelled my subscription and I says, I don't want to turn on auto renew. Shove that up your ass.
But that's
the beauty of it. It was nice. It was nice just to dip a toe, and remember how much that game hurt my head. But it was fun, and I'm just fed up with it, man. Every single day it's just some other shite. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if it's not layoffs, EA laying off folk, it's fucking, teams not being able to get funding, or teams that are fucking dying on their arse, and
Fortnite putting up V-Bucks.
Fortnite putting up V-Bucks because to pay the bills. It's like, fucking, to pay what bills? Like, fucking, jeez, it's just crazy. I hope that as adults we look at that and know that that's the most fucking ridiculous thing that anyone has ever said ever. But I just wish that children understood that. It's like, look at what they're saying here. Just everyone boycott Fortnite. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the terrifying thing. Like, do you remember? Not last Christmas, but the Christmas previous, right? We did an episode, and we actually went and spoke to the younglings in our families about what they want from a gaming perspective. And it was the first year of the PS5 Pro. And I remember my nephew saying, PS5 Pro, without even realising what it is. And obviously I'm like, okay, quite surprised, but why? And it terrifies me because as the years go on, my son will get older and he might just hit out with, I want a Project Helix. I'm like, no. Like,
I want a fucking Project Helix.
You'll be getting a wrapped up Series X and your dad will be taking it. It's one of the things where I'm like, that's a future one day that is fast approaching. And, you know, as a parent, you're always going to be like that. Well, I want to make sure you can get stuff. But we're not in a position to be getting fucking big Maasai press packs sent to us every week and all that. And we can just take our pick or just divvy out shit because we've got an abundance of fucking free controllers and shit. It's like, that's not the reality that anybody that listens to this show nor us will be in. But you might have the reality where the kids start seeing all this stuff, and in the past it was like, well, I'll buy the PS3 because I really want to play that game. I'll buy the PS4 because I want to play God of War, whatever it is, right? Age appropriate, of course. You get to like this Project Helix, PS6, and it's like, well, they're really wanting that because it gives me a little bit more rasterization, but it can do the same on the PS5 that we've got in the house here. Sorry, swinging, I missed me, man. Try again. But you don't want to fail, but it's like we're cursed with knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah, we're cursed with knowledge.
Insert the Thanos moment there.
Yeah,
that's what's true. Like, not the only one cursed with knowledge,
Yeah. Yeah, you said something there that I want to pull the thread on ever so slightly, Liam, and that you buy a PS3 because you want such and such a game, you know, Metal Gear Solid 4. You buy a PS4 because you want this game. For a Project Helix, what could they announce that you go, yeah, it's worth the price of admission?
I mean, there's nothing that they can announce.
Dreamland, Liam. Dreamland.
Honestly, I don't have anything there because I know whatever they're doing is, there's no excuse for it not to be on Series X. For me, I'm getting that, which is go back to the OG, like Gears of War era. Go back to that. We're going to get that with Ede and Fable. If that lands, I'm very happy with it. For me, Dreamland is if they announced something like an exclusive, but it was like Clair Obscure Expedition 33. Something I've never seen before. That's what I want to see from them. That just looks like a breath of fresh air, entirely new, that we can give a fair chance to. I will say, I do feel, and I have felt for the longest time, that new IP, even if it might feel it's rare, on Xbox is held to a much higher degree of criticism than what it would be on PlayStation. And I think it's harder for it to get over the line because there has been some stuff there where you're thinking, well, maybe it's just first game syndrome. If you had whacked a PlayStation Studios logo on it, would it have fared a little bit better, for example? And, you know, I think PlayStation, they're kind of in the same boat for me. I'm not seeing a lot of new stuff from them as what it used to be in the PS4 generation. The PS5 one is definitely stagnated. But it's a good point. It's like, there isn't anything there because at least PlayStation can still go, well, Ghost of Yoti. You know, I want to play that there. It's only available on PlayStation 5. Death Stranding 2. Granted, it's in PC now, but that's where Xbox will get you. It's like, well, you can play it here, and they're probably going for the power aspect of it. That's really what they're aiming for. Maybe that's where the market's headed, Scott, and we're just two old farts, and we don't quite realise it.
Don't understand it. That's the problem. I don't understand PC shite. You know what I mean? Yeah. I get scared when I go to desktop more than my Steam Deck because I'm like, I'm lost. Where the fuck am I? Like, how do I get back? I don't understand it at all.
I mean,
if I was telling you the truth, Liam, if they had Hideo Kojima come out and say, look, Metal Gear Solid 6 is coming to Xbox as an exclusive to the Project Helix, that is the only thing on God's green earth that could get me to buy that fucking console. Day one.
Yeah, you're right.
Sink that. That's the cost of admission for me. For a PlayStation, Bloodborne 2, Elden Ring 2, Liam, potentially. Just something like that would get my blood flowing, but you know, it's a hard sell for us.
It really is.
Again, you know, there will be some out there that will fucking, you know, drink the Kool-Aid on the Xbox Project Helix, and they'll just be like, "Oh, you know, we have to, and we have to buy it. You know, we have to support Xbox and all their endeavors and stuff." It's just fucking outrageous. But this is something that we're probably not going to hear about again until next year. Do you know what I mean? We'll hear dribs and drabs of it, but
hopefully,
if it's going to be in the hands of devs, like remember the PS5 dev kits? Do you know what I mean? Like we heard about those, and then we didn't hear anything else for ages. So we're probably not going to hear anything until late 2027 at the earliest. Do you know what I mean? So
I mean,
when we're years into this podcast, Liam,
indeed,
years,
we have gone towards episode 300 at that point. But I mean,
disgusting.
I'd love it if we didn't see a hint of these consoles before then.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it was post 300, that's fine. You've got that time. But I think for me, what I find interesting, the canary in the coal mine here for me is going to be the Steam machine.
Yes.
And I think it'd be really fascinating because I always feel like with Valve, people will be constantly just asking more and more of them, and they're very happy to just kind of go at their own awkward pace and then just randomly announce something. It's like, there you go, the Steam machine. Oh, fuck it, there's a VR headset about 5 years too late. Mind that. You know, all that stuff. And Steam Deck, everybody's clamoring for Steam Deck 2, but they're very much like, yeah, we know there's people that are more powerful, but it does the thing that it needs to do. We're in no rush. It will come at some point, but we're in no rush with that. And the whole RAM shortage thing, them kind of in the past week, this is that they're hoping to release it this year. They will release it this year, but they are not going to get another Steam machine very soon at the same pace. They're just going to go by the beat of their own drum. Whereas Sony and Xbox are so intrinsically linked to each other because they're obviously direct competition, even though they're not really, and they haven't been for 2 generations. I would just love it if they could just take a leaf at their book a wee bit and just be like, you know what, we'll do it when it's ready. And they could very well be doing that here, but unfortunately, I just feel like there's that driving force of capitalism behind it. And it's like, why can't we just settle into this and just make something last for such a long time? And maybe something like a Project Helix is the way forward for that. Maybe they do just kind of fart things out every year, like a PC. And it's like, yeah, we're no longer thinking generations, and somebody has to break it at some point. Sure as hell won't be PlayStation, and that's probably why they're probably dialing back on their PC exclusives. And they're trying to that's the only thing they can do because they know our model works based on consoles, and then we will get you to buy a PS6 with exclusive games. And Xbox are kind of dialing back into that a wee bit as well. But it's interesting. The thing that I'm probably most fascinated about, Scott, is that for our kids, this is going to be probably the first generation that they're fully going to. This might be their generation, the next one. You know what I mean? Which is insane. But there's a very real possibility that could be the case. Is it portable? Is it whatnot? Do we just wean ourselves off of consoles and become full-time portable gamers? Who knows? We're practically there already. Because I will say this, right? Even take away like Steam Decks and the ROGs and all that. See the Switch 2, man. Like this time with Pokopia, it's just been such a delight. Like that is such a fantastic console. My only criticism is that it fucking drains the battery like nobody's business playing it portable.
No, you're right. But nothing's ever going to replace console gaming. I know. Now, actually dial back on that a millisecond, right? But I know that all the reviews for Resident Evil 9 came out and said that it ran well on the Switch 2. See if you could get to a point where these games ran great on a Switch 2, then it's over. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely fine. I'd buy these games on the Switch 2, but nothing's ever going to replace that for me. Like a Crimson Desert coming out. There's no chance that you would ever try and play that portable. You know what I mean? You're not going to buy that on Xbox. You'll be buying that on your PS5 Pro.
Yep.
And sort of running it from that. But it's just console generations. My kids are never going to know what that means. You know what I mean? They'll live their console generations vicariously through me if I buy them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't see it. I mean, obviously now going to have a son, but we're talking, at a point where he'll potentially have his own console in about 10, 12, 13 years, because there's absolutely no fucking way I'm spending that amount of money to buy him you're looking at potentially a point in time where that's the PS7.
Oh,
Do you know what I
God.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
if generations last as long as they still do, a PS7 at that point, 1,500, $2,000 to buy a console at that point in time, and we're just being fucking run by Mecha Trump. It's just going to be awful.
Jesus
Do you know
Christ.
what I mean? It's just going to be awful. Gas prices continue to rise. Continues to bomb the fucking random folk, and we pay the price for that.
Yeah.
And the price that we pay is we have to pay more for everything, and that goes for the consoles that we buy. So no, Liam, my children will probably never have a generation console to themselves because that is my thing,
Yeah.
not theirs. It's mine.
And I'm willing to share it if they do their homework, but I'm willing to share it. I think for me, I've definitely had a lot of joy in kind of going back, though. Like,
Yeah.
playing Fire Red with my son has honestly just been such a highlight. So I'm like, well, do you know what? This is the one thing that we could never experience that they can. There's just such a long legacy of classic games that we can open the doors to. So when we're talking about next gen stuff, you're right. That's probably just for us to be like, oh, for God's sake, like us just being neurotic and just being like, I want the new, I want the new shiny because that's all I've ever known. Something new comes out, I'll get it. But we have an opportunity, taking a stand here, Scott. We have an opportunity to just inspire the next generation to just go back and not just jump forward, and to say no to the demons of Fortnite and Roblox and all the nonsense that are in there, and actually just like, listening to their parents and playing the likes of, a Pokemon Fire Red, or I don't know, any other, the Metal Gear Solids, that type of stuff, Mario 64, whatever it may be. It could even, it doesn't have to be that far back. Imagine like playing like Uncharted for the first time or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many classic games out there, and I think that I would love to see an even bigger push on game preservation at this point as well, just to make sure that that doesn't get lost and that we're always at the beck and call of the big, invisible, scary capitalism monster that seems to just kind of fart out these consoles like nobody's business. Just get a rest. Get a rest. Just eat what's on your plate. Maybe we should just embrace the backlog. We're going to have backlog gaming kids. That's it. That's what's going to happen. They're going to play the backlog for us. That's the dream.
They finish our log. It's like hoarders. It's just they have to finish the fucking games that we never played. And then in like 10, 15 years' time, my daughter will be playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
It's like, why? I've been playing it for 200 hours. Why? I know that's the future that we should aspire to, really. But yeah, listen, it's always a good laugh to kind of speculate, and it won't be the last time. There'll be something else down the line that we'll come back to.
Last note on the Xbox, Liam.
Mm-hmm.
GameDeveloper.com are reporting that this is an Xbox. The advertising campaign has been quietly retired.
Yeah.
Next, goodbye. So we can comfortably say that we are not Xboxes anymore.
Damn it, I've quite enjoyed that campaign. I thought it was funny. I still believe that picture I put out the day when it launched, with just me tweaking the font and everything, just saying this is a munchie box with a big picture of a munchie box next to it. That had the potential to go viral. I think it should have. Maybe if I had a wee tick, it would have at the time. But yeah, it's I'm not surprised, man. Like I said earlier, it's the new broom, new regime, new day. But I don't work there. I don't give two shits. I want to make sure that basically we are free to just not worry too much about this. But I'm intrigued to know, dear listeners and viewers, where's your head at on it? Because obviously you might be thinking the same thing. Maybe you care. Most likely you don't. But, is it too soon to start talking about this type of stuff? Why now? And who do you really think it's for at the end of the day, if the speculation is to be true in regards to the $900, $1,200 price? And leave a comment below on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you are. It'd be lovely to hear from you. But, Scott, I think we should move on. And that does mean it's time for the next segment, which means it's time for the Pixel Pick Showdown, where each week we each pick a game from our chosen theme and decide which one deserves to live on the hallowed Pixel Picks list, which is our definitive list of the best games we recommend and pass on to the next generation of gamers. The last week's theme was the best game that aged like fine wine, with Dark Souls becoming the latest addition to that list. And in this week's showdown, we're going to be debating the best AA game we think should feature on the Pixel Picks list. Now, as always, last week's winner goes last. I believe that was you this time, Scott, was that? Even though we picked the same, you picked first, and I'm a gentleman. So technically my streak's still alive, but I'm going to hand it over to you. So let's get
Hand it over to
to
you.
it. Hand it over to myself, actually.
You go first.
Well, this one, I felt this one was quite an interesting one to kind of look at because, again, I don't really subscribe to the whole AAA, AA thing. It feels very corporate in terms of it, but it's a good way to kind of categorize stuff in terms of the budget and what kind of what you're expecting behind it. AA it used to be such a thriving like kind of category of games, particularly around that kind of PS3, Xbox 360 era, even step back to PS2 era for me. There was always just like an absolute boatload of cracking AA games, and you still get them. In fact, two of mine are from the most recent console generations that I'm going to be picking today. But I just wanted to pay a little homage to the real ones that helped us along the way to get there. But my honourable mention, Scott, keep it brief, is going to a game that I was thoroughly impressed by, and I do recommend it to anybody that's looking for a lovely little a lovely little action adventure game that looks absolutely stunning, like a Pixar movie at the same time. And that goes to Kena, Bridge of Spirits. That came out within that first initial PS5 launch window, I believe. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. One that I know that the sequel's on its way soon. But if you're in the market for something that's just, I hate to use the word Souls-like because it's not. It's a hint of Souls in there. But it's absolutely gorgeous. Won't take you too long. Got some solid combat in there. Some of the fights in there are surprisingly a wee bit tricky, but it's brilliant, and it's something I think will put a smile on your face. Go check out if you have a chance, and I believe it's on more platforms than PlayStation now as well. But my pick this week, Scott, just keeping it brief, I'm going with Lies of P. Going with Lies of P as the main pick this week because it was a game that I think, if I think to my head, what game had no right being that good, and it was Lies of P. You know, if you're into Bloodborne in any way, shape, or form, you're going to like this game. And it can be, at first I remember thinking this is very derivative of it, but it becomes its own thing. A game that I've still yet to beat in full, but I remember what I've played of it, man, it was a blast. It really was. It held its own. It created its own kind of lore very well using the Pinocchio world in that as well. And yeah, I think it deserves a place on the list. So I'm going with Lies of P, Scott. What about yourself?
It's a game that I'd recommend you do go back and beat them because it is fucking brilliant.
The time.
So good.
Got the PlayStation still waiting on me, so
yeah. Go for it. I've always wanted. I've been keen to go do the DLC for it, but I'm just too scared. But no, it's a very good choice. My honourable mention for this week is a game that I love. A game that I think it gets its flowers, but not enough. Not enough flowers out there. It came after, a certain game, but I think it expanded on what it done, and it made it so much better, creating this breakneck, fucking the raid type experience, and that game is Sifu. A fucking
choice, yeah.
glorious game. Dodging punches, looking the mad moves that you get every single time you die, you get older. It's brilliant, you know what I mean? Picking up weapons in the world and stuff, and just all that interactivity in terms of the world is just incredible. It's an absolutely brilliant experience, and one that I suggest everyone plays at least once, just for that first fight with the first guy in the jungle and stuff. Is fucking excellent, and the warehouse. But my actual choice for this week is the same as you. I was tossing up between Lies of P and Sifu in my own head. Like, which one do I think carries the mantle of AA more? And the next game in that series could be a AAA title. Do you know what I mean? Like, if your AA title is as good as you think it is and does as well as you think it is, then it's got a possibility of becoming AAA. And that's what I think Lies of P has done here. It's just the fact that you can take Pinocchio and create this is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
every single person talking about the DLC gives it, 10 out of 10. Think they say that as an expansion, it rivals Dark Souls and the FromSoft games, and that's exactly what you want. The combat, the characters, the world, everything just oozes class and oozes personality, and the fact that that's coming from a double A background is
Mhm.
just ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? So you're right. There should be more of these games than there ever has been, and we should embrace that more. It shouldn't be a dirty term. It's a term that I think we should look at more fondly.
I agree. First off, massive congratulations then to Lies of P, the next addition to the Pixel Picks list as our best AA game. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, maybe it's a future topic for another day. We should a little ode to the AA games. It's definitely something that I used to love, like going into like Game Station back in the day, and they would sometimes do like £20 sales, and it usually would be like you sometimes get like a bigger budget title, but it'd be lots of like cracking AA games in there, and that's kind of like where you would play a lot of them and kind of
Mhm.
learn a lot more. And I remember like games like Enslaved, Odyssey to the West as well, which I would probably categorise as a AA game in my head. One I probably actually should have put in my honourable mention that I said it was. But that's an absolutely tremendous game. And it's one again, courtesy of the Game Station sales. And it was absolutely amazing. You're right, like, don't get me wrong, I love we all enjoy the big blockbuster AAA games, but they are very much like a blockbuster movie in my head. Like, it's great, I'll buy the ticket, take the ride and all that stuff, and it's like, cool, off I go. But, a lot of the more memorable stuff can be found elsewhere. I mean, some could argue that Claire Obscure Expedition
I
33,
was going to say, I was going to ask you that. Was that a
man,
question you want to answer?
no, look,
Um,
it's an indie game. So,
it's true.
that's that, and that's me cancelled. So there we go. Nice no deal. But it's definitely an indie game. But it's not so much a double A. It's like it's a quality thing, and it's become a buzzword. Same with like you're seeing GTA 6 coming, and people are saying that's the first quadruple A game. Really, it starts to get silly at some points, but it's really just to try and quickly categorize the magnitude of the scale of the budget and probably the expectation as well behind it. Double A is kind of, I think, a sweet spot for many studios to aspire to. But even nowadays, do you get indie, just very simple indie games for that as well. I just start to think of batteries and all that when we start going down this, to be honest. I mean, so double A or triple A. But a great pick though. Lies of P. If you've not played it, I think it was on PlayStation Plus. If you've got that, I'm not sure if
Aye.
it's still there. I think it came off Game Pass, but it no doubt will pop back up again. Steam's usually on sale. Go check it out if that's your jam. If you want like something, if you're a Bloodborne fan, you need to play it. That's all I
Yeah.
would say. Like if you
Yes.
like Bloodborne, you will love Lies of P. And I'm just going to give a quick recap here, Scott, before we wrap things up. Yeah, that was entrant 95. So we've got five more to round up the 100. Then we've got the next phase lined up for you. But I'm going to wrap things up here because Scott's got lots of boxes to pack. If you're there, let's all wish him a very, very peaceful and happy move. And we'll speak to
Oh,
him. We'll be
God.
back again in your new house, Scott. Obviously, I'll see you before then. I'm talking as if I'm not going to see you, but I think for our lovely listeners, we'll all wish you well in your new adventure together in your new house. But of course, that brings us to the end of this week's podcast. So, thank you once again for joining us. And remember, support small, independent games media out there. So if you like what you hear and you enjoy the show, share on social media, tell your friends about us, or leave a wee 5-star review. Whatever it is, helps us out, makes a big difference. And you can get us on our free Patreon community at patreon.com/Pixel Parents, where you can support the show for free. Now, Scott, test time. Where can people follow you online if they wish to chat more about your love of Project Helix?
Project Felix. Llamaman.bsky.social is where I will be
Sky.
lamenting the world.
Yes, indeed. I'll also be joining you there, Scott. I'll be on Blue Sky at carmelite.bsky.social, where I'm trying really fucking hard to not lament the world just now, but I am going to say it's quite a dangerous trap to fall into. I think it's okay to kind of keep things all nice and rosy, but there's some serious shit happening out there. Then you've got to just vent. You've got to vent and just kind of put your 2 cents out there, because you never know. It might just make somebody just nod and smile and actually feel like they're not just suffering in silence as everything just gets a little bit more shitter around them. But yeah, on that note, a big massive thank you to our producer and music man, very talented and handsome Mr. Sean Murray. So go show him some love. Check out his work on Instagram at barehandsdesigns and barehandsdesigns.com. And you can, of course, listen to the next episode on all major podcast platforms and follow us on Blue Sky at pixelparents.bsky.social. Even write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. So wherever you are, like, share, subscribe, and play some more Pokemon Pokopia. Just wherever you are, because let's face it, that's what we're all going to be doing, isn't it, Scott? Particularly us two.
Correct.
Let's wrap up so we can do exactly that. But until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and thanks for listening.
Sack Pep Guardiola.